Well, here we are, Game of Thrones fans. We're back with a brand new review for House of Dragons, Episode 1. Full spoilers. The show is now out, and man, am I excited to talk about this because Game of Thrones, man, who did not love that show? Well, a lot of people didn't love the ending, particularly me. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. I was very much in the middle of it. It just felt very rushed, but it left a sour taste in my entire geekdom about this franchise, and I was not that particularly excited for House of Dragons personally. I didn't really love any of the trailers. They didn't really pique my interest too much. I liked the time period they picked and a lot of the actors involved. And then I went to San Diego Comic-Con to see House of Dragons panel out there for Hall H, thinking, oh my god, this is going to get me even more excited. And guess what? It didn't get me more excited. Kind of just sat there going, cool. And so now I've seen the first episode and I really liked it. In fact, I'm ready to say this is a perfect, and I really mean this is a perfect pilot episode for a season 1 show. Establishing, and especially when it comes down to a prequel. Now, prequels can get a little bit tricky. You either really like them, they can mess up things, or they don't. But they set this 200 years beforehand. And that opening title where it says this is before 172 years before Dany was alive. Which, rest in peace to our queen Dany, Khaleesi herself. And that's a huge aspect, is what do you do there? What is there to tell in this kind of time period? And I'm really excited to say that this first episode was very intriguing. Now, while I was not emotionally attached to these characters yet, and I do kind of wish that there was maybe 1 or 2 episodes before this to really establish certain things, I know this is only the first one. And it gets me excited to see what we're going to see with the rest of the season and what plans they might have going down the road. So I really get invested with a lot of these characters. But again, as a pilot episode, why is it perfect? It's perfect because it establishes each and every one of the new characters in a way and a manner that we kind of understand who they are. The king himself, King Targaryen, awesome. Love what they were able to establish with him, specifically in the scene between him and his wife when his wife is giving birth. Olivia Cooke is Alicent Hightower. Awesome character. And Olivia Cooke gives a really good development and has a great relationship with Millie Alcock, who is the princess, the daughter of the king. Then you have Matt Smith, who's the brother, the prince, who's the next line in heir if he does not have a son, and you can see that there's developments in there of what kind of character he kind of is, kind of the douchebag, power-hungry ruler that he wants to be. And Rhys Ifan is, as Otto Hightower, is another big standout for the entire show. And that's my thing. All these characters, so many different storylines, so many different things that are piquing about your interest, going here and there and all of that. So diving into this episode in full spoilers, and again, if you need a place to come talk House of Dragons every week, this is definitely going to be one of your main spots. I'm going to promise to try and have the episodes up as soon as the episode ends. That way you guys can have a place to come that's safe and polite, and we can have a conversation down below about your thoughts during each episode, as well as you can hit that like and subscribe button for other geeky content on a daily basis. So without further ado, let's get into House of Dragons spoilers. So, the episode very much has this despair, and this despairing feeling, but also this unlikely hero sense to it all, specifically in the ending when the princess gets pronounced as the next heir. And I found this episode, the pacing to be very well, because when it got to the back half of it all, when the wife is giving birth, I'm like, oh, this is a perfect way to end the episode. Does she live? Does she die? Does she not? Oh, does she give birth? She dies and the heir is now out? No. That's the middle of the episode. That's 38 minutes in. All before that, we're establishing who these characters are, seeing things that they do, whether it's the tournament, which was brilliantly edited throughout the entire birth sequence, or the massacre of the Gold Cape guys that Matt Smith goes in and pretty much decimates. We see her flying around on a dragon, which, to kick off your episode, that is a fantastic way to open the episode. We see her relationship forming with her in the Hightower and where that is about, the king and the queen and everything of that nature. And again, building up these characters and the council specifically in what is going on in Westeros now. These elements are a fascinating way to start the episode, and when you do the middle of the episode where the death happens of his wife and heir, leaving him only with his daughter and his brother, that's where it becomes a little bit tough, because we start to see that we know who his brother is. It would not be great if he is named the next heir, and definitely he's maybe a little bit power hungry. He seems like someone that would kill his own brother, even if his brother does not believe that fully. And once they have the funeral, which was stunning and beautiful, and again, I haven't even really talked about it, but the dragons look incredible in this show. The discussion about who takes over really starts to pique the entire rest of the show and establishing something that is really going to affect everyone going forward. You're picking your next heir. That doesn't really bode well for the king, or maybe even her, and who might come after the throne itself. It's always been Game of Thrones for a reason. And seeing this and seeing all the developments of how, like, the High Tower, he's a part of this, sends his own daughter to go maybe pleasure the king, which is not something that you want to see, not something she wanted to do. You saw that pain in her eyes, but they had this nice one-take discussion about just everything. About, people talking riddles when my mom died. I'm not going to do that with you. I'm very sorry for your loss. But where it really comes down to is when he finds out that his own brother, was cheering that his brother lost his own son. Then it leads into what he has to do. Telling his brother to leave. And then his brother has a badass dragon, goes out on that. I pretty much dug that. But it's when he has that conversation with his daughter and says, I'm going to give you the next heir. I have a secret to tell you, the Song of Fire and Ice, which I love that. That was a great callback to Game of Thrones, but it also pushes us forward to what the Targaryens were, how special they were, how important they were to Westeros itself, and the landscape of everything that was shaped in Game of Thrones. And I think this is going to be a show that when we watch it and we see the entirety of it, however many years it goes, however many seasons it goes, we're going to look back at Game of Thrones and experience it in a different way. Because Game of Thrones, while it gave so much mythology and lore, and if you read the books, there's so much in there. This is a show that is only expanding this world into that next empire of great fantasy television. And I really do mean that this first episode was perfect as a pilot could be. It intrigued me, it set up the characters, and it established a very elegant thing that is going to really kick off the rest of this season, and I cannot wait to hear your guys' thoughts down below. So thank you so much again for watching this. You guys are really all the best. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button, comment down below your guys' thoughts, and of course, until next time, stay classy.